Hi guys, today I'm cleaning the Fluval 304, which is pretty much the same as the Fluval 305 filter. They do about a 300 litre fish tank. Take the top valve, push it all the way up and lock it in place so the water stops flowing, and then that valve you can see at the bottom, lift that up and just rock it. The tubes from side to side, you can pull them out. Just check that there's no muck in the tubes. You do get a bit of algae in there, but it's usually not too bad. Okay, so there's no way to do this that you won't get wet, so take your shoes off and take it all outside. Undo those clips, and I find this is the best way to do it. I sort of put it in a vise with my feet and rock the top from side to side, break that seal, and lift it out that way. So as you can see, there's a bit of algae there. You can unclip this that holds the impeller in place and actually pull that out very carefully. That's a ceramic spindle down the middle there, so you break that, you'll be up for a lot of money if you break it and need a new one. And you can just give that impeller a clean. Now when you're cleaning your filter, just make sure you're using water that isn't chlorinated. So either dechlorinated water or preferably water that you've actually just drained out of the fish tank that you've got this on. And you can see you can get a little bit of algae in there as well. Just get your finger in there and you can pull it out. So what I'm going to do now is take the internal apart, or the internals, and just wash them. Now that water, as I say, is what has actually come out of the fish tank. If you use chlorinated water, you'll kill off the bacteria in the filter that you actually want to preserve. Now that's water coming from a fish tank that's draining, so that's why I can use it to flush that out. So what I'm doing here is flushing out the polyester medium. I almost never replace this as it tends to last forever. Just flush it out with water. And I use this, it's an old beer fermenter. And I fill that up with water from the tank, and then I can just sort of clean everything in that. This is the filter pads. You can just take those straight out of the holder, drop them in the water. They're very porous, very easy to clean those. You just sort of squeeze them, just give everything a rinse. Put them underwater, squeeze them out a couple of times. As I say, try and work fairly quickly. You don't want them to dry out. You don't want this stuff to dry out because the bacteria that's on it will die off, and you want to keep that. It is important. This is the charcoal bag, and there's some bio balls. I usually just rinse them through, submerge the whole container that's come out of the canister and submerge them. There's some of the filter medium or macaronis. I usually just push those underwater and shake them a little bit, and that removes most of the muck that comes out of the filter. Just submerge it a couple of times. As I say, just keep working relatively quickly. It's not that crucial. And this is the same process now for the bottom stack, the bottom container in the stack. It's 3 stacks in these 304 filters, and as you can see, the water that's actually in there from the filter is fairly mucky, so just want to rinse that out again. Again, don't go scrubbing it down and removing that bacteria. You want every bit of that. That's helpful. It breaks down the ammonia in your fish tank. So now I've moved on to putting these the containers back in the stack. The coarse, the fine macaroni, and the top layer is the bio balls, charcoal, and the glass fibre. Well, I think it's glass fibre, whatever the filter medium is that you buy. Those little charcoal bags are very good. They're actually a Fluval charcoal bag, but you can use them in any other filters as well. I actually use them in the Eheims as well, sometimes. And you just pack it all in there, make sure there's no loose ends, and put that back on top so it seals it all in place. Just make sure it sits in there nicely, otherwise you won't get the lid on. Now just be careful when you're putting the other side in here. the actual sponge media, because I always do this. For some reason it's counterintuitive and I tend to try and put it in upside down. You'll see what happens in a moment anyway. I messed up, as I seem to. It always seems to be the wrong way round for some reason. But yeah, just make sure that goes in well. Now this way that I'm putting it in is the wrong way. It looks like it's the right way, but no. See how it's jammed? No, got to go around that way. And that just slips in there. We're just about done here. We've cleaned the impeller and cleaned up around the top power head part of the filter. Just wipe the algae off. So don't get too fastidious about it. It's beneficial. A lot of that green stuff there is beneficial to your aquarium. Drop the impeller back in very carefully. Make sure it's back in there. Make sure it's moving around freely. And put the retaining clip back in place. Be careful. These things cost a fortune if you ever need to replace them. And so just make sure the clips are firmly back in place, and make sure you line that up with the round top of the containers. And what I've forgotten here to do is actually fill it with water. Now this is water that is being drained from the fish tank. Just speed it up a little bit here for you. Because the last thing we want to do is put chlorinated water in there again and kill the bacteria. Not good. Okay, so now we're ready to put the power head back on. As you can see, the water will drop out of the sides, and just gently put the clips around. Make sure it's all in place, you're not pinching the O-ring anywhere. And here's the installation. Now we're just repeating the process from the start. Push them in. You have to be a little bit firm with these to get them into place. The bottom clip will lock it in place, and just make sure you turn the water flow on with the top clip, and so when you actually go to start it up, the water will flow through the system. So there we are, just check that, and now turn the water flow back on. I usually set it just somewhere around the middle. I've got a 200 litre tank. Plug it in, and you're good to go. So just make sure, double check that everything's plugged in place. I always come back a few minutes later and check around again just to make sure that there's no water leaking or anything like that. Cheers.